pick a number between 1 and 10. Oh, that's too bad. You lose. Take off your pants. This game actually snuck up on me. I had seen some people react to a small showcase of this game years ago where Wukong was fighting this dragon. Wukong then quickly slipped my mind and I sadly went back to playing League. However, sinking a couple 100 hours into the new Elden Ring expansion, which is fucking goated by the way, I was craving more of the Souls-like genre, but not really wanting to delve anymore into the slower and more methodical approach of the Dark Souls franchise. I wanted something a bit more fast-paced, and I guess the timing was just really on my side, because I remember exactly a day later, my Twitter timeline, it was just blowing up full of clips of this new game called Black Myth Wukong. Instantly, I was hooked. There was something about this game that made the combat feel heaps more fluid, a real refresher of often at times the clunky style of Elden Ring. More so, the opening scene is nothing but legendary. As soon as you start up a new game, you are presented face to face with the deity, and what follows is probably the greatest introduction I have ever witnessed. It's straight to the point.
Dog, player, I get it. Frog, player, I get it. Dog, player, I get it. Frog, player, I get it.
A very dramatic ending, and then suddenly, we're in. The first chapter isn't too much to write home about. It's good visually, sure, but it will more so act as the tutorial island vibe, but I guess it does do its purpose. You learn practically everything you need to know here, and compared to the rest of the chapters, this section of the game is quite closed off for exploration, as well as the first few bosses being absolute chodes. Except this one, I will not tolerate any Ling Xue Ling
灵虚子，灵虚子，
Ling Shuji.
because that's my boy right there. All the bosses in this chapter after this homeboy can fuck right off. I say this because the black bear Guai took me over 2 whole days to defeat. I don't know why it took me this long to overcome this motherfucker, but something about his boost, I mean his moveset, just had me on a complete mental block. And with the conclusion of chapter 1, we're now into the real game. Chapter 2 is where shit hits the fan. You are introduced to this guy. What are you? He helps a brutalized Destined one. And then he plays an absolute banger of a soundtrack for you to sightsee around a bit. This is the chapter where I fell in love with this game, which honestly that wasn't so hard to do. You are no longer being held back by anything really. The explorable land really opens up to what it should be, and honestly the map sequences remind me so much of Monster Hunter World, which I am already so in love with. This chapter also really made me master the combat. I think by the end of it I was feeling so unbelievably overpowered in any form of combat, only to get my shit rocked by a new enemy type, and that is a bit of a theme in Wukong. Every new enemy type is a bit stronger and a bit faster than the previous. You seem to really struggle to keep up with the button mashing demands, especially if you are new to this type of game. It will really beat you down until you find the inner workings of this massive fucking skill tree and combat system. I soon learned my lesson from being smacked around so much by Dama and Jeffrey Dahmer.
Fresh meat, delivering itself all the way to this dump for our lunch.
I'd say the middle section of this chapter isn't interesting to cover. You do a bunch of exploring, but then ultimately have to defeat the Tiger Vanguard.
Where do you come from? You bird-based mock.
After a really long and difficult fight, you realize he isn't even the end chapter boss. Finally, you unlock the other half of this goddamn map, sprinting up to this guy and then get absolutely pummeled into the sand because your dumbass forgot to level grind and you didn't even know combat yet, so it doesn't make sense why you would think you could even try and win. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. There are quite a few things to do before you make your way to the end. There's this place where you need to collect all these Buddha's eyes, and after acquiring them all around the map, you can fight not one pebble, but two pebbles. Classic side boss behavior. There's also Drunk Pumbaa. It looks like you're taking the success of the Lion King really well. After countless tries of trying to fight this creature of a boss, things are finally looking up. I'm making steady progress, and I think I clocked in around 10 hours solely trying to fight this fucking guy. And the weird thing is, his fight isn't even that hard thinking about it. His first phase is piss easy, and then he does this shit with the sand, hurls a fucking giant scarab at you, and then his jump through you while also attacking you bullshit. Then it's just whack, 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 whack. And surprise, the headless man is no longer headless, and with that, he lost all of his aura. 0 out of 5, GG, go next. Did you know there are actually 2 secret bosses in this chapter? You probably didn't, I don't know. There's this guy who, you know what, I don't actually really want to talk about him. However, if you do the Pumbaa's quest line and eventually fight him, this will happen. Another Tiger Vanguard. You want to know the boss fight? Fucking...
Take the keep it God before the God goes ahead and makes your mind go split. They gon' get you hard, they gon' get you now.
You then get gifted the Wind Tamer, which would have been so fucking helpful in the end boss fight. I'm so angry I did it in this order. And with that, that concludes chapter 2. Next is the infamous snow chapter. I'm not gonna lie, this chapter is a complete blur for me. Everything kind of blended together, and I do think this chapter has the best world building. Starting this chapter, you fight a seemingly weak foe, but this boss fight apparently ends halfway through with him disappearing. Going more up the maze-like village, you come across a tree with Birdman greeting you to the new area, talking in complete rhyming riddles, telling you that he knows your fortune. Care to hear? Instantly turning you into a bat and taking you to your first real boss fight of this chapter. On God, I thought I was going to throw hands with a kid, but sadly, not all dreams come true.
See if this monkey merits a place amongst my disciples.
After probably one of the most unique fights in the game, you get ambushed by the creature that escaped the combat earlier in the chapter, waking up in a jail within the Pagoda Realm. Within this area, your vision gets slowly more distorted regularly. With heavily decayed health and stamina, you have to navigate the dangerous and hostile jail. You slowly have to work your way up through each floor and enemy to get out of the giant pit. At the very top, it is actually waiting for you. The screams that disorientate you, Captain Guai's voice lays at probably one of my favorite bosses in this game. The design of the captain, the arena, and the fight itself creates a unique balance of combo hitting and on-hit aggression to favor a more balanced dance between playing passively while defenseless and going crazy once you have an opening. The visuals in this fight also play a massive part in my biasness towards this fight. Is that a fucking disco ball? Not long after venturing into the snowy wilderness, fighting your way up more mountains, you are greeted by a man who is seemingly fighting the creature that put the Destined One into the Pagoda Realm. However, as you fight this creature for the second time, he again escaped after the fight ended. Even so, the man sitting down talks to you about his special ability. Advancing further into the chapter, you again climb up a small hill to be a witness to an argument. The true form of the wyvern is revealed, and her thundering ability is unleashed. Introducing the greatest sidekick of all time, hands down. This isn't even a debate. He's one of the best. The cutscene introduced him like he was a very fierce giant enemy, but he's a clumsy deity. You two fight towards the common interest of the next part of the chapter, which is a refreshing turn of events after being seemingly a lone wolf type of game at this point. After only climbing up a heap of stairs to be at the top of this mountain network, you are faced with another strong foe. Sliding down a side of a mountain into a more open area, you explore the surroundings to only come across yet another captain. This one looked more ominous than Wise Voice. However, I managed to actually first try him. I thought with the intro stance like this, he would have been one of the tougher bosses in this chapter, but he more comes across like an average side character who bullies the fuck out of the main protagonist. Captain Kalpa was the last guard of the giant Buddha temple that houses the toughest and final boss of this chapter. Working your way through, there's multiple really tough enemies waiting for you. Even this blind guy, who hits like a fucking truck, mind you. He reminds me of Lee Sin. He would just beat the fuck out of you, but he's blind. If you're just really silent, he won't even know you're there, and he'll just talk to himself. At the very top, the final stage of this temple is awaiting two giants. Now, not speaking for anyone else, but I personally can't take full-grown men at the same time, so I wasn't in the right mood for this type of spit roast action. So I just ran straight past, and I ended up entering the room of the Buddha, Yellowbrow. I will say the first stage isn't the hard part. I would section this fight into 3 stages. The first one is the one that you're obviously seeing. After this, however, the fight takes a turn. Yellowbrow taking you as a hostage in his pouch of magic, where you're tormented into fighting. This is also one of the most prettiest cutscenes to come out of this playthrough. Inside the pouch, you find a familiar face. Zhu Bajie greets you likewise.
Idiot! That trickster called you too!
Shut up, you cunt. Within the pouch, you finally get to defeat the villain of the entire chapter that's been escaping you every single time. Afterwards, granting you a transformation ability to become the beast momentarily. After this stage of the boss fight, you are placed upon the miniature temple by Yellowbrow. This leads eventually into the final stage of the fight and the chapter.
It's magnificence!
And with that, the Buddha is gone. The secret scroll of this chapter probably has one of the most, if not the coolest fights in this game. To achieve this special scroll, you have to complete the Chen Loong side quest, which I'm not going to go into because, well, I wouldn't even know what to do, to be honest. I just sort of got lucky and blitzed it straight away. Cruising down into this magical scroll, you will find all the familiar vendors for buying and upgrading things. However, in the backside of the little area is someone new, a character we haven't even met before, the Yin Tiger. Up to this point, and even still towards the end of the game, I don't think I've fought a boss quite like him. He's fast, really hard hitting, and he will combo the fuck out of you if you're not careful.
This ain't no 48, this that new news.
This crap is unfit for my skill. It's yours now.
Waking up in a chest being transported by some low-life thugs is a great opening to chapter 4. Actually, this part of the game has some very interesting backstory and character development for our one and only trusty sidekick. Now, as we slowly learn, he had that good with a spider lady. You've got some great taste, my guy. It was weird playing through this chapter on my first run through of the game. It felt a little different. The previous chapters up to this point felt like the usual, okay, here are some characters linked together by some vague and often secondary story in the background. My guess is with chapter 4 that it could be because you now have this newfound companionship with Zhu Bajie. The seemingly all-knowing and harsh side character comes across as actually a great friend of the Destined One, even long before this certain monkey came to this journey. It's only because of the newfound friendship in this clumsy and lovable little boar that this chapter stuck out to a lot of people. There's so much storytelling in this one chapter compared to any of the other previous. It's a great change of pace in my opinion. Anyway, to set up the story, we'll briefly watch this cutscene, and I'll explain more on the way throughout. Not all of it gets explained, but it's hinted that Zhu Bajie definitely has a history with this giant spider family, and at the end, you are seemingly going further into the spider's underground lair. Once here, you fight countless enemies as you work through the giant cave-like system. At the starting high point you have here, the opportunities are seemingly endless. At first glance, you can see far and wide at just how gigantic this cave actually is. While exploring, however, the mixture of cave structures surrounding moonlit greenery with often ancient Chinese-looking buildings and totems, it feels like something straight out of a movie. It feels like a movie. That could be said about this entire game. I'm sure you can find heaps better looking gameplay than mine, but I was fully immersed and invested in this chapter at this point. You soon come across 2 yapping lanterns. As you approach, a mysterious woman cuts them down and speaks directly to you, which is, it's weird for me to get this type of attention. I was kind of tweaking at this point. You don't yet know who she is, but compared to all the other women you've first met, at least this one didn't try to kill you. As you eventually and slowly make your way down the maze-like cave, the first boss is, of course, a giant centipede. The weird design of this arena goes completely against what centipedes are often symbolized in this form of media. Centipedes are often thought to bring good fortune and wealth. However, because this is a type of Yao Guai, it's taken on more of a sinister appeal, surrounding itself with skulls and bones of previous fighters or prey. After shortly discovering the next boss, a more deceptive trick is played out by the ugliest boss in this game, Buddha's right hand. Once again, she appears to help. After defeating the giant moth-like creature, and just before it can escape, she shows up, shuts it down, and then speaks to you once more.
I've laid your path for you. But where will my path be? From now on, we're both on our own.
This time, we get to see more of her, asking what's the life outside like?
Tell me, monkey, what's it like out there? Beyond these mountains?
Giving us the idea that she is perhaps trapped here against her will, her makeup streaked with tears, and her non-aggression towards the Destined One. I'm pretty sure everyone wanted to know more and maybe even help her, but she suddenly signs off with the, from now on, we are both on our own. I'm just here to tell you that she fucking lies. With more exploring into the lair, we finally reach a point where we eventually see what's happened to our little Peppa Piggy, captured by the Spider Sisters and want to be used for the wedding. It really is the big day, you see. I've put a conclusion together all by myself. At the start of the chapter, there is talk about a feast, wedding, and a gift.
The feast is all set.
You spoiled the gift from Uncle John.
a gift to be devoured at a wedding of spiders, no less. Zhu Bajie serves as the gift as well as the groom of this wedding, and we all know female spiders actually eat the boys after procreation, serving at last as the feast. Truly a big day. The Destined One quickens its descent down the lair in order to try and save the Oink Oink. However, as luck would have it, it already seems too late.
I'm a nasty bitch, you can't fathom this. 18 legally, you can hold the dick. Hold up, pause, bring it back, cause you would think I'm Richard Reed the way I'm trying to blow, little bitch. This is my solo bitch, I just go, little bitch. Got them hated niggas setting up they rope and shit. You know, I don't give a fuck, please kick the jet. Here or that, nigga, please anywhere, I'm all gone. Red an empire, nigga, Rome. Sun shiri young bitch like I made a stone. Clone, nigga, you can never hold your own. Bitch, tell me if I'm just wrong. Look up to the sky, speaking, I'm the motherfucking light. You looking at me funny, cause you know a nigga really about to rise. I can see the tears in your eyes. Hold me down, nigga, just try. Just try. You ain't got a plan laid out. Why you mad when I move now? Gotta do my own thing. Bitch, bada boom, bada bing. Dirty ghetto kid get cream. Why can't you see? Just not for me. This fuck the nigga's the dream. My phone interview is just speaking to you. Can we breathe? Nigga, oh please.
After a vengeful and personal fight that I've been holding in for chapters and chapters, before anything is even explained, the trusty sidekick again is kidnapped by hot girl monsters. Why can it not be me?
Bitch, so I live that shit. I look up in the mirror with the glare. Ask myself 2 questions, am I here or over there? Ain't no telling where they'll be when all our stars are here. Even team if they can only stare.
After quickly fleeing with the relic, a massive swarm of baby spiders appears. This is the most insane shit I've ever seen. What the fuck? They're on me. Get them off me. We don't get a clear answer to which sister this is, but using my smooth brain, it's most likely the sister that has been helping us from the start. We don't get to show our appreciation as she hurries out of sight, but this sets you up to the ending area. From what I remember, and trust me, I'm not doing research on this bitch, this is the only time you get a real backstory to why the spiders are the way that they are, and reasoning behind every motive.
Now the monkey has ransacked our hollow.
A mere monkey showing such disrespect. The thing I gave you. Now I must have it back.
Apart from her, she is still a mystery, but it is fun to fight a mutual enemy amongst people you have fought before. This chapter is quite a breeze to get through until the final boss coming up. I was hard stuck on this shitter for God knows how many days. I actually had to look up a guide to try and even level the playing field. I felt like I really needed to sit up and focus learning his fucking moveset and his other bullshit patterns to even attempt to beat him. His second phase is also so cancer. On God, any boss who takes you into another realm while reducing your stamina is cursed. Fuck you, 0 out of 5. The story of Chapter 4 is a tragedy. There's no light-hearted way of saying this. Most of what I'm going to say here isn't confirmed, nor is it in the Journey to the West book. Some things are even lost in translation, and I'll be talking strictly of how it's presented in the game. So I'll try to keep it simple, yet trying to come across sophisticated. The video I'm referencing from is here. I'm taking a lot of points from what this guy says about the game. Okay, Zhu Bajie, the boar, and the Spider Queen are both cursed. Both of them were on the celestial planes. Zhu was actually a high-ranking admiral for the Heavenly Court. Now, while on a mission, Zhu accidentally bumped into the Spider Queen. She wasn't a Spider Queen back then. Instantly, the Spider Queen and Zhu fell in love with each other with the brief moment they shared together. However, Zhu was actually chasing another love interest of his own at the time, but as he kept pursuing the love of this woman, he would discover that she is already in a relationship with another high-ranked member of the court. The high-ranking member sentenced Zhu down to the mortal lands, thus turning him into a boar so he wouldn't be able to chase women anymore for love, only terror. Well, Zhu then spent years alone, trapped as a boar, but one day stumbled upon a lake filled with women. As he spied on these women, it is revealed that one of the women happens to be the Spider Queen from the heavenly celestial planes. The woman that he fell in love with. They instantly reunite and share memories. But how did this happen? Why was a celestial being down here in the mortal lands? Asked Zhu. The queen reveals that in fact she witnessed the punishment and heartbreak that Zhu felt with the other lady and high-ranking man. Eventually, the Spider Queen had ran after Zhu after his banishment from the court. Following him down to the mortal lands, she still loved Zhu at this point. As she descended, she ended up getting lost on the way to Zhu, as she wouldn't have recognized him as the boar. While doing so, she also sentenced her own celestial body to be vulnerable to curses. The big reveal at the end of the chapter, where the Spider Queen says to Zhu,
"You haven't changed a bit, you fool."
referencing his beauty in the celestial planes. And with that, this concludes chapter 4. I'm not gonna lie, this is an abrupt ending to the video. I'm sorry. I have completed this script and have completed the game, and I love it. And I lost a lot of motivation after the ending of this chapter. Maybe eventually I'll come back to complete this final chapter, but for now, I'll leave that as a chapter 2. Again, thank you for watching.